Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the virtual Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course for the second installment of the A-Maxx Racing eSports Series from the World Karting Association, presented by Summit Racing Equipment. Hi everyone, I'm Eric Brennan. Pleasure to be back with you second time around, and joined, of course, by probably the best man that we could ever have guide me to get to this point here today, Marco Barbanera. If it wasn't for you, I don't know if I would be here after the quick tutorial that we went over to put everything in place. Happy to have you back. Happy to be back after what we saw the first time around with the Spring Series. Some of the most spectacular and fun racing that you could ever imagine. And we are getting set now for our first heat race here at Indy. Marco, welcome back. Happy to have you.
Thanks a lot. It's great to be back with you, Eric, and nice to have these competitors back for more, especially given that the previous time we were here in Indianapolis, we had one of the best races I can remember commentating on. So hopefully we have some more of that tonight. Speaking of which, I thought we were going to go green straight away, but we have 40 seconds more, so we can go through the grid properly.
Yeah, it looked as though in the qualifying session things were incredibly close. So we will take a look at that grid once it appears up on our screens here. Marco, unless you got better eyes on that, perhaps you could help lead us through there.
Yeah, Carmine Caruso on pole in front of Will Salisbury, Casey Davis, Austin Hall, Jason Pribil, Nathan Nicholson, Bane Bennett, Eli Warren, Cooper Gold, Jason Petty, Quinn Allen, Tim Haas, and I think joining as stewards, Kevin Williams and Eric Graham.
Let's see a standing start here for this first heat race after Carmine Caruso was fastest in the qualifying session. And with that comes $25 in cash going to Caruso. Here come the lights, the first heat race of the day at Indy. First attempt at a standing start, and we are green. A little bit of contact there further back as it looks like Caruso gets the jump, and Salisbury, who came oh so close to winning a number of these eSport races last time around in the spring, already in the slipstream and looking for the lead to the inside at turn one. Salisbury wasting no time to get around the pole sitter and quick time setter and Caruso for the top spot, and it's going to be Salisbury going to the lead. Salisbury now leading them through turns 3 and 4. They're going to be coming up to a quick cutback at 5 and 6 before they set up for the back straightaway with Caruso now looking to do all that is possible to close up on Salisbury, as these two have still not decided who's going to cement the lead at the end of this, either scheduled 5 laps or 15 minutes in length. The distance for this heat race, all in preparation for the 30-minute final as they hit that back straightaway. Caruso in the draft of Salisbury, setting up for the left-hander that is turn 7, and Caruso's having a peek for that top spot. Can't get up alongside. Well, Marco, it's early, but these two, especially after seeing what they did in qualifying, looks as though they're trying to put themselves in a league of their own. But Casey Davis not that far behind there in third, but Salisbury and Caruso battling it out for the lead for the moment.
And we have seen how crucial the draft is, especially coming out of this final corner here of the infield section. We had a crazy finish a few months ago, and I'm expecting more of the same, because this skip is so sensitive to the draft that you can easily make more than one spot thanks to the draft on the front stretch here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
Yeah, contrary to what we see the IndyCar Series run, these guys actually running what is the oval portion of turn 1. No chicane there, so as you mentioned, they're at top speed, side by side as they go into 1. And it is Salisbury on the bottom, Caruso up top. That would have been a photo finish if it was coming down for the checkers. That was for the lead at lap 1, and Salisbury's going to go back to the point. Caruso, though, looking back to the inside as they come through 3 and 4. Boy, and these two certainly penciling themselves in as the early favorites in what is a 4-race series. As we mentioned, the second one that is being put together by the World Karting Association, and cash is the name of the game. There are, of course, some other contingency prizes that are available, not only for whoever comes out on top of these races and the championship as well. A lot of money on the line, a couple of extras that we'll get to in just a moment. We already mentioned that Caruso's got the $25 that came with the pole award. The race winner is going to get $25 as well, thanks to Aaron and Julie Christ at Louis P&R Italian Deli. This heat race doesn't really pay anything to win, but obviously it means a lot to these two. And don't look now, but third place is starting to close up in Casey Davis, and Bane Bennett has latched on there in fourth as well.
Davis is really, oh, I almost jinxed it with this great save, and I have to say a delicious looking Oreo race car there. So, I mean, you know, it's 2 in the morning here and making me very hungry for some Oreos.
Never too late for a midnight snack, no matter where you are. And here comes Salisbury. He's looking to try to eat up that race lead. He gets a big run here on Caruso, pulls down on the front straightaway, and there's that overhead shot that helped us decide that aforementioned photo finish. That time it would have been Salisbury by a nose cone, and he's got the advantage on the inside lane, setting up for the right-hander at turn 1, as we are now working lap 3, again, of this 5-lap or 15-minute timed event. And so far, everybody appears to be playing nice with one another amongst our 12 starters. And here's a bit of a run coming up off the corner. Caruso trying to get the lead back after he had the top spot when they came down for green.
Only one driver so far being scored not on the lead lap, being Nathan Nicholson. I think was involved in a crash in the opening portion of this race, but there is certainly no time right now to go look at the replay, because these two guys are absolutely nose to tail. And also in the back of the field we have this fight here between Petty Olds and Haas, all close together, going side by side through this tricky section.
Yeah, Austin Olds trying to better the results from the spring series, where he was able to muster up some strong finishes, 1 podium, and now he's going 3 wide for this spot, and he's got the preferred line. It's going to be drivers left, setting up for the left-hander at turn 7. They touch up to the outside. Everybody keeps it on the pavement for now, and Olds is now trapped up on the outside. He'll slot right between the two of them. That's Huss in front, Jace Petty, I should say, just behind. And what is, as you mentioned, Marco, a spectacular 3-car race for about 6th on back, just outside the top 5. And here's that battle for the lead again. Each and every lap as they come up on this portion of the racetrack, we're side by side for the top spot. This time it's going to be Caruso having the lead at the stripe. And Salisbury trying to get a run again. That was the fastest lap of the heat thus far. Salisbury's going to dive it up the inside. What an incredible race for the lead we have here in Heat 1. Oh, almost the first time we saw a mistake by Caruso. He clips the grass and they touch. Salisbury off, keeps it out of the gravel trap, but he's going to lose maybe second place, this time to Davies. And that's going to be Casey Davis taking over the second spot after it looked like Caruso may have overcooked the corner that time, getting into turn 1, made a little bit of contact with Salisbury, and Salisbury's back to the inside of Davis for second.
And he wants to come back quickly because he knows that if the gap becomes a little bit too big, then the draft is out of play, and of course that will mean that Caruso will run basically unchallenged towards the checkered flag of this first heat race, and already the gap reading 2 seconds, so that is going to be awfully tough for Salisbury to make something better than second place in this race.
As you mentioned, Marco, he's going to have the help of the draft, but he's got to be close enough to be able to sniff the slipstream is available on Caruso's car when they come up to this portion of the racetrack. And they are full song at the exit of turn number 11, setting up for the high bank corner that makes up turn 1 on the 2.5-mile oval at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. But as you mentioned, nearly 2 seconds, the gap back from Caruso to Salisbury. That's not going to be enough for him to be able to tow up to the backside of Caruso's car as they come to the line here with 1 lap to go in the heat. And we talked about the storyline being Caruso and Salisbury, separated by only 0.08 of a second in qualifying. They appeared as though they were going to put on a clinic at the front, although Casey Davis is doing a spectacular job. Davis sends it off into the corner, almost made a similar mistake that Caruso did a lap ago. This time, though, Davis is able to keep it in line, and Bennett is starting to close up from 4th. And here's that battle for 6 that continues on with Huss and Olds through 2.
And it will never get old to me the way these guys make the skippy slip and slide without losing control. I mean, it is absolutely amazing just to sit here and watch them, because I mean, the beauty of iRacing, any kind of racing simulator for that matter, you can get into the same condition as these guys, jump in for the race, same situation, same car, same track, and I'm quite sure I will not be able to keep the car on track, slipping and sliding left and right like these guys are doing. Absolutely incredible.
Meanwhile, word from the officials is that they're looking into that contact that took place between Carmine Caruso and Will Salisbury. So we'll see how that pans out as they come down for the checkered flag. It sounds as though Caruso's been advised to give that spot up to Salisbury, or he could be deemed a 30-second penalty. Only got 1 corner left to go to give that spot up. He's got a 1.5-second margin, and it doesn't appear that Caruso is slowing down any. We'll have to see how that affects the running order. That could knock him all the way back to 10th. Unofficially to the checkered flag, it's going to be Caruso with the win. And here's the battle for second, or what could be the heat race win. And as they come to the line, it is Salisbury by inches over Davis in that run of the checkered flag that, again, may be for the heat win.
Yeah, we'll have to wait for the decision of the officials, which I think will come very, very soon, as all the drivers are coming home more or less safe and sound. We are just waiting for Queen Arens. Just a few corners away. Connection playing a little bit of games on him. As you can see, he's appearing and disappearing, and as soon as he crosses the start-finish line, the drivers will unceremoniously be kicked out of the server and getting ready, well, not of the server, of the racetrack, because we're getting ready for the main event of the evening, and hopefully this time the grid works for you.
And it does. And as we see, that penalty was assessed. So Will Salisbury is going to start on pole with Casey Davis alongside. The margin 0.07 of a second. Bennett's been very strong. Was keeping pace with the front runner starting in 3rd. Jason Preble is going to be in 4th. Tim Huss starting in the 5th spot. Austin Old's going to take you back to 6th. 7th is going to be Jace Petty. And we got something to tell you about Jace Petty because he's going home with a little bit of money, extra money in the pocket in just a few moments. Cooper Gall's going to be 8th. Eli Warren 9th. Quinn Aarons in 10th. Carmine Caruso all the way back in 11th after the penalty. And Nathan Nicholson takes you back through your 12 starters. Here to make up race 1 of the A-Maxx Racing eSports Series with the World Karting Association, presented by Summit Racing Equipment. And as we take a look now at Salisbury, who's starting P1 all the way up against the walls, the lights come up. The first race of 4 in the A-Maxx Racing Summer Series of eSports competition with the World Karting Association is green. Caruso mired back mid-pack, bobbing and weaving, trying to gain some spots, while Salisbury, for the first time, is going to have a clean run up to turn number 1, and it's Bennett who gets a great start to move up to 2nd, and Huss, who was in that duel for 6th spot at the end of Heat 1, finds himself in 3rd. Davis got kicked back to the 4th spot, and here's Caruso trying to chop his way forward, and he gets tagged. Around goes Caruso there through turn number 3. That might have been Austin Olds that caught him in the right rear and sent him around. Olds also involved there, and we'll go back and take a look at this one. Wow, Marco, Caruso was chopping his way forward, found himself 3 wide up to the outside. Olds tried to avoid a slower car on the bottom, and it's Caruso who ends up in the gravel. Multiple cars involved. And that is a very interesting first few corners to start off this one.
It's easy to talk now, but sure, I think Carmine Caruso maybe is thinking, well, maybe I should have given back the position and starting in the front row instead of, or close to the front row, instead of now being all the way back in the pack and being in, because this is the risk when you are in the back of the pack. Things like this can happen. You can see basically where cars all over the place, left, right and center, on the edge of grip with cold tires, no pace lap, so you go there basically with strong cold tires or very very close to that, and a collision like this is always on the cars, unfortunately.
So while we saw the struggles of Caruso, who's still running at about the 8th spot and trying to move up, here's the battle for 2nd. And a car that's been improving throughout the sessions here today, Tim Huss, just took 2nd away from Bane Bennett. Now in the runner-up position, about 2.2 seconds in arrears of your leader in Will Salisbury, who's trying to get the one that got away. Remember how close he'd been to grabbing a win in the latter stages of the spring portion of our esports competition. And it is Salisbury who's trying to run away from the rest of the field. But Tim Huss, who has been able to avoid some of the carnage that was going on behind, clearly passed Bennett for the runner-up spot. Now can he close in on Salisbury for that top spot? Here's Eli Warren with a bit of a moment through one of the left-handers. Got that car a little bit sideways there, and we'll move up on Nathan Nicholson, who it looks as though, Marco, maybe one of the biggest movers in the race. He got through that carnage, now trying to set up a pass to crack the top 5 on Jace Petty.
Yeah, +6 on his scorecard. Let's see if he can make it +7. And that is correct, but he's a bit too deep there. Needs to defend very tightly on the inside. The car, of course, pushes wide. Now we'll have the inside once again in this absolutely chaotic section of corners. Left, right, absolutely crazy. And once again, they're side by side as Casey Davis, I think, is going through the daisies. And there's some contact there. And you can see there, of course, on the inside, the Oreo car of Casey Davis with massive damage on the front left and front right. Look at the steering, completely bent. I want to see what happens straight away.
And what a heartbreaker for the driver who was 0.02 of a second away from starting on the pole for this race. And this is Davis running behind him. Nobody around, and big contact on the right side of that car. And that was while running 4th. And what a heartbreaker, again, as we mentioned, for a driver who showed so much speed. And in terms of the championship, here's Caruso. Big lock up there by Petty going into turn 1. Caruso, after all the problems to start this race off, already charging back up to 5th. So Caruso on a bit of a move here. We also understand that there might have been a penalty assessed to Austin Olds in the name of about 30 seconds as a result of that contact with Caruso. So that is a tough way for Olds to start off this championship bid after, as we mentioned, had one podium finish in the spring portion of the esports competition. As we're starting to see some heavy racing going on here up towards the front of the pack. This for second, a little bit of lap traffic in the mix there as well. And one item we want to touch up on real quick, Marco, we mentioned all the prizes that are up for grabs from the World Karting Association and of their presenting sponsors and partners. We mentioned that Jace Petty's got a little bit of extra money in the pocket. That is courtesy of a random draw that took place after qualifying. $50 courtesy of Rev Branding going to Jace Petty. So regardless of where the finishing order winds out for Petty, who could have a chance to pick up some more cash if he can climb his way up a few more spots in the running order, currently running in 7th, $50 courtesy of that random draw, thanks to our partners at Rev Branding. Also, $25 will be going to the race winner. That from Aaron and Julie Christ at Louis P&R Italian Deli. They're back on board to help us out with this portion of our esports series as well. And 2nd through 5th is going to be getting $20 each, also from RevBranding.com. And as far as the non-cash prizes that are available, Summit Racing Equipment's giving $25 in gift certificates to the podium finishers. And our week 1 winner will get 1 case of WD-40. And the 2nd place finisher each week will get a pack of spark plugs courtesy of the Olds family. As we drop back here to a battle that is materializing between Quinn Ahrens and Cooper Gall for 7th.
You know that I'm very jealous of J-Spet because not only you get the cash bonus, but also that's a great way to race with a clear mind, because you're already bringing home quite a big prize, and everything that comes after that, it's basically the icing on the cake.
Yeah, we talk about being in the mood for a midnight snack or so. $50 would get you a lot of things to snack on. So for Jace Petty, it's a great way to start off the season. As we mentioned, 4 races the distance. Reigning esports champion Byron Daly did sign up to defend his title. However, as we mentioned multiple times, his day job is working for one of the NASCAR Cup Series teams, and he actually got stuck at work tonight, literally. So if he's going to defend this championship, he's got to make sure he can make the remaining 3 races, and he's going to be on a bit of a comeback trail, especially with the pace in which Will Salisbury has been able to set so far in this series. But this battle for second just doesn't want to seem to break apart. Tim Huss, Bane Bennett, drag racing on the front straightaway with Bennett in the draft, not looking to pull out to the inside and make a move just yet. We've seen so many lock it up getting into this corner. We'll see what these two do as they approach the right-hander. Bennett closes up under braking, but is able to avoid contact in the back of Huss as this is all going on about 3.3 seconds off the leader. And Caruso's charge continues up to the inside here of Nathan Nicholson for what could be 4th.
Nice move there, sliding, but great defense from Nicholson to jump on board with Caruso and see if he can do something more creative. You see damage on his front wing. Of course, still bent after that contact in the first lap. He got away with little damage compared to what he could have possibly have had in a collision of that magnitude, and still some side-by-side racing. Now we will have the preferred line on the inside, but of course Nicholson is in front of you. You cannot go too wide in this right-hander, because if you basically go too much to the left, you get tagged with a slowdown penalty, and you don't want to do that, especially with the skippies, when you want to stay as close to your driver, the driver that you want to pass in front of you as possible. And once again, side by side in this very twisty section of the racetrack, almost coming to blows, the two of them. Great stuff.
And we also saw Nicholson dip one of the rear tires into the grass, got a little bit too much curbing. Remember, that's what bit Casey Davis right at this portion of the racetrack. Just ran a little bit wide off the corner and it snapped around. Caruso, though, still exercising the hands, even as he gets back to the power on the exit of the corner. And Nicholson now up ahead, providing a little bit of open air pathways for Caruso. Now darting to the outside as Nicholson defends, and they're going to be side by side at the stripe. This again for 4th spot on the racetrack. They're about 13 seconds behind what is still a two-car race for second, and they're going to stay side by side as they approach turn one, with Nicholson on the bottom, Caruso up top. Nicholson sends it way in deep. Caruso trying to pull an over-under on him, not able to draw up alongside as they exit two.
I remember Nicholson in the heat race basically did just a few hundred yards before being forced to retire, so basically he had no time to get ready to fight in race conditions, because, you know, oh, we have a caution. I was just about to ask you, because we have seen competition cautions in the previous championship. I wanted to ask you if they were still on the cards, and I think the answer is yes, which of course is great news for everyone, apart from our race leader, who was pulling away 3.6 seconds, and now this will be raised. Great news, especially for drivers like Caruso that need to go into the pits and have some repairs.
Yeah, and you mentioned it. So now if we take a look at the plus and minuses on the field, we already threw out Nathan Nicholson's name as gaining 8 spots on the grid. Caruso showing +6, but that doesn't consider the fact, that's from his original starting position, that doesn't consider the fact he was running up inside the top 10 when he got taken out on the opening lap or so. Now if he comes in to get repairs and the rest of the field stays out, second verse is going to be same as the first. When we restart the second half of this race, after the competition caution, if Caruso does elect to come down and make those repairs, which I would strongly advise he does so, not only for the sake of his race car, but for the sake of our entertainment. He's been so fun to watch, even with the damage. If he can come down and get that car repaired and get it back to surely close to 100%, he may be able to pose a challenge for Will Salisbury, who has pretty much dominated since the drop of the green flag.
So as per the iRacing rules, if my memory serves me right, and I've been on iRacing since 2015, so I should remember these things, no matter if you are on the road or on ovals, in the first lap the pits are closed, and that is why I think no one has... I mean, you can pit, but of course you can be tagged with a penalty. So I think the drivers will now, after lining behind the pace car, will get a chance, if they want, to peel into pit road and get those repairs. I was looking at Jason Prebill, who also went into the grass under caution a few seconds ago, because despite being one lap down, he just set on the previous lap, not this one, the previous one, the last green flag lap, basically, the fastest lap of the race, which we can show you on the screen in a second. And there it is, a 43.694. So how frustrating, to know that you are this quick, but unfortunately being trapped one lap down. Maybe race control could think about giving some wave arounds. We will see.
Yeah, the word from the race director and Eric Graham is that they are going to wave around lap cars when they get that opportunity to do so. And also, Marco, this caution gives us an opportunity to kind of do a whole refresh on how this eSports series came about. Of course, you and I first got to dive into being able to work together on these type of formats, as it looks like Caruso is getting set to come up into the pit area here. Of course, the WKA teamed up with Apex Racing at the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, and it was a great opportunity and option for a lot of what is many young and up-and-coming racers. There are some veterans or senior-ranked kart racers who were involved as well, to kind of come together and continue to fuel their competitive edge and desire. Now, fortunately, here in the States, we have gotten back to some real-life racing, specifically with the Manufacturers Cup Series in the World Karting Association just this past weekend at the Charlotte Motor Speedway. We understand that a lot of the drivers who competed in that event may be sticking around, as there is another event with the Rock Group, who is also partnered with the WK this season. So that may be why there are a couple of names that we don't see in competition here this time around, because they're still on the road getting set to go racing in the real world. However, we still have a number of drivers who are supporting this esports format, and it created a lot of interest, and it also provided a lot of opportunity for some names and drivers and teams who don't have the opportunity to make all the Manufacturers Cup races. And Will Salisbury is a unique example of that. We've seen him before on a number of times, but we have not been able to see him out at the racetrack all that often. This is a great opportunity for him. And the reigning champion, Byron Daly, was another example. He actually was able to be out at Charlotte this past time around, but that was only because the stars aligned and freed up his schedule, and he was able to get himself a race car. But courtesy of that eSports championship that he claimed in our spring season, he's got himself what is basically an arrive and drive deal with A-Maxx Racing, and it is something that he is really excited about, considering that he's pretty much a journeyman racer for the most part. As for this series, the championship prize for first place is going to be from A-Maxx Racing a free tent space in the 2021 WK Manufacturers Cup Series, and that includes driver coaching, car transportation to and from Indianapolis, and a chassis tuning assistance, plus $50 that is coming from the Bennett family, and that is if you are able to claim the top prize in the championship in the summer version of the WK Esports Series. If you finish second in the championship, you're going to get $35 cash from the Bennett family, and they are also going to award third place with $15 cash as well. So there is a lot of support, race by race, and for the championship in this esports series, and a lot on the line as well. And it parlays with what these drivers are able to do, either behind the wheel of their actual race cart or here on the sim. And we cannot thank everybody, including you, Marco, and all the people at Apex Racing for making this all possible, and all of our partners and sponsors as well.
You know, it's been actually crazy. You know, thinking back about the quarantine days, which were. You know, there was an explosion of the sim racing. Sim racing, you know, became suddenly the hottest ticket in town, and so, as I said many times, I had the chance to commentate on many series, and with wildly varying quality, I should say, and this has been absolutely one of my favorite to commentate. Also because Skip Barber is. One of my favorite cars, but also the way these guys run. I said many times, it was so exciting. Since the first time, you know, we did the Charlotte race, I remember, as the drivers are getting ready to restart. And of course, the great prizes. It's strange because sometimes when you have these big prizes on the line, the racing can be exciting, but also very nasty, so to speak. But I remember, as I say, that there is a spin under caution. But apart from you know, all jokes aside, the racing has been absolutely clean and exciting, and everywhere we have been, and that is absolutely a unique thing. And I can tell you from experience that you don't see that very often. So this championship has been one of my favorites to cover. So glad that it's back, and. You know, also great that we are starting to get back to normal, more or less worldwide. Because, I mean, I tell you what, I'm a huge sport fan. I like basically every sport on the face of Earth, and those months without sports were absolutely dreadful. And now, just to have a little bit more things to look forward to during the week, you know, it's great, and it's great that racing has been at the forefront with, of course, NASCAR at Darlington. That was a great joy, and now everyone else slowly restarting, as is this race, as we are getting ready. Lights are out. The drivers that took the wave around are a bit far away. They will have to be quick, and we are getting ready to restart.
Yeah, Marco, I think you kind of phrased things just as best as possible. I mean, we're really excited to still be here on the sim racing platform, but knowing that a lot of these racers and drivers have other things to look forward to outside of just the sim world, kind of shows us we are inching back towards a little bit of normalcy. Kind of a unique looking restart lineup here, as everybody's kind of fanned out in some type of awkward formation. We'll see how this pans out, as we're going to go back to racing. So here we go. Salisbury, the leader. Huss second. Bennett third. Caruso with the repaired car at the back of the field. Here we go for what is a shootout at Indy. Caruso already on the bottom, making it 3 wide as Salisbury pulls down to defend the top spot.
Oh, big contact
Caruso
there, Caruso.
may have touched. Yeah, and no more contact. That was Nicholson, who may have climbed over the top of another car. Able to keep it pointed in the right direction for now. Meanwhile, Caruso already up to 5th, while Salisbury still leads Huss.
Caruso had a wheel-to-wheel contact with someone, and then independent of that, there was another Nicholson at that crash. We caught a glimpse of it, as now, once again, Salisbury will try and pull away, but it's not going to be easy, because Team Haas looks very quick behind him, and of course Bennett and Caruso now up to 4th certainly they don't want to let him escape once again. Look at the weaving
Caruso's
already to break the draft.
Yeah, that's a big point on the front and back straightaway. We're going to be seeing it a lot here in these waning laps as Huss steps the back end out a little bit. We saw a little bit of counter steer as he went through that left-handed corner. Caruso did get around Jace Petty. That was for the fourth spot, as you mentioned, Marco. Petty was the car that spun under the yellow flag. Fortunately, did not sustain too much damage. Still running in fifth. Trying to cash in a little bit more, as that is the last paying spot, thanks to RevBranding.com, to receive an extra 20 bucks, second through fifth, that is. Meanwhile, on the front stretch, this is the closest we've seen Tim Huss be to the race leader in Will Salisbury, and he's in the draft as they come off the final corner. This is going to be the best chance for Huss to try to pull out and grab that lead, but Salisbury's able to defend. Not seeing Huss get that big run up the front stretch we've seen many times before, but it looks as though Caruso's moved up to third spot already.
Yeah, there he is, trying to block Bennett from coming back at him. You know what, when we were on board, I was trying to pay attention to the engine note of Tim Huss, and it seems like he was lifting just a little bit before entering the braking area. He knows that an overtake right now probably will not be enough, and you know, it's just basically wasting time and allowing a very quick Carmine Caruso to come back into the fight for the lead. And I'm sure these two guys don't want that to happen, even though I think that it is a matter of when and not if that the number 8 driver will come back in the fight for the lead. But us using his head doesn't want to force the issue, especially because, you know, basically it is the excitement and the drama. Everything is building up possibly to a last lap. Oh, so I mean, did you see that sliding all the way through the corner? Absolutely incredible. Going back to what I was saying, it's all a big crescendo. It's getting to that final corner in the final lap in the best position possible to attack and get the best run possible for the win.
And the element of teamwork that you described there, possibly between Huss and Salisbury, we've seen that before with these Skip Barber cars on the WK A-Maxx Racing eSports Series. Maybe just trying to work together and not allow Caruso to close up as fast as possible. And we've seen a little bit of kinks in the armor as far as Caruso's performance. I mean, yes, he's come from the back of the pack. We'll call it 1.5 times because he hasn't gotten all the way up there just yet. But remember back in a heat race, he did overcook the car getting into this corner here in turn 1, actually made contact with Salisbury while racing for the lead. That resulted in the penalty that put him all the way towards the back. And just a half lap ago on the far side of the racetrack, sending it off in deep and having the back end get loose on him once again as well. So Caruso showing a little bit of vulnerability here as he tries to desperately close up in the waning laps. We're now under 5 to go, but Huss is not allowing Salisbury to drive up to that 3+ second lead he had before the yellow. We may be having about a 3-car race for the lead, and if they mix it up too much, Bane Bennett is going to arrive on the scene as well. He's only 2.3 seconds off the leader. Top 4 all still have a shot at it as they work down the back straightaway once again.
Yeah, in the first portion of the race, before the competition portion, oh hello, look at Carmine Caruso basically officially has joined the party. You know, there was a lot of infighting between second, third, and fourth, and Caruso goes for it. Absolutely crazy move there on the inside, and now they will be side by side on the front stretch. So let's call in our chopper.
And you could sense the urgency out of Caruso with that late diving move down to the bottom. Now they're side by side. You have to wonder what lane Salisbury is going to think about taking here. He certainly doesn't want to aid either of these drivers with the assistance of the draft. And this is allowing Salisbury to pull out a little bit, but Caruso's going to make the pass before they even hit the straightaway. Now Huss, though, in the slipstream. He's going to dive back to the bottom and try to get second back. What's Caruso going to do as he sets up to the outside in the corner? On board with Caruso as we approach turn 1. He's going to try to hold him down. Huss is going to make the pass. Caruso back to the power, and it's Huss to second, Caruso third. And look at that. That's allowed Salisbury to open up about a 1.5 second advantage. As Caruso comes back up to the inside here.
Oh, and
Bennett trying to close. Look at that. Caruso slid right up in front of him.
Oh, he's a bit wide there. We left the inside line. The right-hander going on to the quote-unquote backstretch. But look how much has now Salisbury gained. But this is absolutely fantastic. Bennett is also looking very, very closely to this fight. Seems like Caruso will be able to stake his claim to second place. But now a mountain to climb, because basically we have 3 laps left, a bit more than that, and 2.5 seconds to cover between first and second place. Once again, the importance of driving in clean air and without any opponents around you. And look at Will Salisbury looking maybe finally to get his first checkered flag after missing the date with the first place many times, unfortunately, in the first championship.
I don't know how Caruso didn't rip the front wing off of Tim Huss's car when he slid up in front of him, and that got Huss all kinds of crossed up, and they still battled for the second spot. But as you mentioned, Marco, Salisbury, who just turned the fastest lap of the race at a 1:43.213, now up to a 2.5-second advantage, and these guys are still going to fight it out for second. Huss nearly into the back of Caruso that time in one, but the hourglass is starting to tick by. Caruso's got to dig deep if he wants to perfect the comeback trail. +9 in the running order from where he started back in 11th after the penalty in Heat 1, but he cannot shake Tim Huss or Bane Bennett, who's trying to get up on the podium, is to try and have a strong start to this 4-race series, as these three are still locked together, and they have not been able to close up on Salisbury, the leader.
Perfect timing for Salisbury to get the fastest lap of the race, just as these guys behind him were really getting into it and fighting super hard, so that was perfect. Now gap down to 2.1 seconds, but still not enough for Caruso, who still has a mirror full, of course, of Tim Huss and Bane Bennett, as they head once again into this tricky SS section. We can appreciate here from the blimp and see how wide it is, but also how twisty it is, as they now get back onto the banking for the 14th time in this main event. It will be 2 laps to go at the stripe for our race leader. Gap down to 1.7 seconds. Could there be a chance for Caruso and company, especially since they are very close together? If they start working together, I know it's very late, but if they stop fighting with each other, they can give each other draft, just like in a super speedway kind of scenario in NASCAR, and maybe, just maybe, close the gap just enough to get into the draft. Caruso, fastest lap of the race, 42.8, fantastic.
Wow, that may have been one of the first times that we saw somebody dip that low. As you mentioned, fastest lap of the race, and Huss was right there with him. They got about 3/4 of a second off the lead of Salisbury. If they keep that going for these final, let's call it about a lap and a half or so, it's going to be close. And here is how that differential looks here on the bottom of your screen, and you see where Caruso has been able to eat them up there that last lap or so. But the cooperation of Huss and Bennett is going to play a big role into whether or not that continues to be a race for second only, or if they're going to be able to close up on Salisbury. But thus far, it appears as though that Caruso was just marginally quicker through sector 1 this lap as they hit the backstretch.
Here we go now, gap back to 2 seconds. They will really have to work together in this final portion of the lap, the second half of the lap. These trios seem to be a bit quicker, but still look at how close they are and how much they are sliding through the corners, as Salisbury, I think, can feel the checker flag. I think it was Road America where he was in the lead and then got tangled with a back marker. Very, very unfortunate there, because he had a massive chance at a race win. Now the gap back to 2 seconds, and I think this will be a decent lap for our race leader. Just what he needed, as the white flag waves here at Indianapolis.
And for Will Salisbury, he is 2.6 miles away from his first WK eSports victory, and that comes after he gave the full support of the spring edition He came into the championship standings, or he finished the championship standings fourth with 2 second-place finishes by the closest of margins. Here's that race for second in turn number 1, and now Bennett's trying to get up on the podium, nearly gets into the backside of Huss as they come through 3, while Caruso tries to cement second. This may be the battle as we work the final half lap at Indy for the final podium positions, as Caruso is now losing more ground to Salisbury, the race leader.
Salisbury with his personal best just when he needed the most, and now basically one of these 3 guys will not be able to stand on the virtual podium at the end of the race, at the end of this lap, I'd say. Let's see how they play their cards. Of course, the main battle has been Caruso versus Haas, but Bennett just now in turn 1 really for the first time went for it in this race. Maybe they want to profit, especially if they start bagging wheels, as we have seen, by the way, in last season's race here in Indianapolis on the front stretch of the final lap.
As we're on board with Bennett for these final few corners, you saw him get way deep in the brakes there. It looks as though these things are going to settle out a little bit. It's going to all go on behind Will Salisbury, who was so close to Caruso in qualifying, awarded the heat race win after a penalty was assessed to Caruso. This time, though, he flat out dominated. Was able to drive away from the field before the competition caution, did it in the second stint of the race as well, and he's officially a bridesmaid no more. After 2 second-place finishes to close out the last season, it's going to be Will Salisbury getting the season-opening win here at Indy. Caruso with a sliding, bobbing, and weaving effort to hold on to second, and Huss is going to round out your podium as we got this battle going on between Quinn Ahrens and Cooper Gall. They were locked together all race long, and they're going to be locked together coming to the checkers. They touch. Ahrens up the outside is going to edge out Cooper Gall at the line.
It wouldn't have been a WKA race here at Indy without some wheel banging at the start-finish line, but congratulations to Will Salisbury for a fantastic win. In the end, Caruso was able to get a fantastic run coming out of the final corner. No way to go for us and Bennett, who basically finished the way they started that final lap, but some deserved shots for our race winner as he enjoys this celebration, this victory lap, together with Caruso and other drivers, of course, but he is the main protagonist today, he is the winner, and now we'll give him a nice slow motion, because why not, and show you the race results for tonight.
And Will Salisbury, again, a bridesmaid no more. And in fact, it was the season finale in which he finished second by inches. This time, he's the winner. Final margin of victory in excess of 2 seconds over Carmine Caruso. And I'll give credit where credit is due. Kevin Williams was watching the practice session along and said that it may be between these two throughout the day, and they proved to do so. However, the story of Caruso's charge up through the field on more than one occasion was extremely impressive. And Tim Huss rounds out your podium. That's your top 3 finishers here today at Indy, with Bane Bennett and Jace Petty finishing in the money, $20 each going from second through fifth. Also a reminder, $25 Summit Racing gift cards going to your top 3. And we'll talk about more items in which Will Salisbury was able to win. But first, the rest of the running order. Quinn Ahrens, who took that 6th spot after bouncing off the side of Cooper Gall as they came to the checkers. Gall's going to come home in 7th. Jason Preibel, who, as you mentioned, Mark, laid down some very quick lap times on more than one occasion throughout the night. However, did not have the result to show for it, was 8th. Nathan Nicholson, who had that accident after the restart on the competition caution, was 9th. Austin Olds had some early race contact, had to settle for 10th. Then it was Eli Warren. Casey Davis, who was top 3 in the heat race, had a crash while running 4th, finishes 12th, and that is your field. As we mentioned, Kevin Williams and Eric Graham, our officials, kind of latched onto the tail end of the field. And we hope to see this series continue on in terms of strength. And nevertheless, it looks as though we have a battle on our hands between Salisbury and Caruso as we prepare for our next race. It's going to be next week, August 5th, at the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. That's a new one for the eSports series with the Skip Barber cars and the World Karting Association. And again, our on-air time will be at 8 p.m. Eastern time, with more cash and prizes up for grabs.
Tell you what, it's a beautiful track to race with every car, but I'm particularly fond of it with the Skip Barber. I'm talking about, of course, Mid-Ohio. It will be perfect, and really showcase the talent, especially because those swerving corners, elevation changes, they will really put on display the unique driving styles of these drivers. And of course, today we saw the wave arounds. Of course, this is a pretty big track, so they were a bit unfortunately, still like half of the track away when the green flag dropped. So you never want to go a lap down, but if you need to take the wave around, of course, Mid Ohio much quicker to come back to the back of the pack and maybe get once again back into contention for the race. But that was that will be next week, and of course now Eric is standing by with our well-deserved race winner, Will Salisbury.
Well, I know you've been second so many times. I know it's been close each of those times. And the last time that we talked to you, you said that it felt good to wrap up the season the way that it did. But this time we get to talk to you as the winner in the season opening round here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. What does this mean for you to finally get that W in the win column?
It's been a long time coming. I mean, ever since the last race of the last season, coming down to just a couple tenths in those last two races, just fueled the fire to want to come out and put on a good show and hopefully grab a victory. And coming right out of the gate with one just feels amazing. And I feel like it was handed to us a little bit tonight, but I certainly definitely still had to work for it in those last 5 laps or so after the caution. So it was heart pumping, and I hope we put on a good show for everyone to watch.
Now, you and Carmine Caruso in practice were very tight with one another, qualifying very tight with one another, had the contact in Heat 1, which relegated him due to an official's decision towards the back of the pack. And then in the late stages, you see Caruso move up to P2. Was it at that point that you knew you had to lay down some flyers? You ran the fastest lap of the race after he moved up in the second spot. What was going through your mind when you saw Caruso back up in that runner-up position with about 2 laps to go?
Oh, I knew he was coming. I knew he was quicker than me by just a couple of tenths throughout practice, and qualifying obviously just grabbed me by a tenth there. And in that heat race, we were going back and forth, and I think we both know that it was just a heat race, that either of us could have came out on top on that. And I'm not really sure what exactly happened with the contact. I didn't get a chance to watch it again, but I don't really know why he took it too wide into that corner, but regardless, I'm not the race official, so I don't make the decisions. We've all been on one side or another of those type of things, so I'm just gonna take it as it is. And I knew he was quick, and I knew he would work through this field very quickly. I totally forgot about the caution stuff, to be honest. So once I kind of had a big gap, I'm just thinking to myself, like, okay, I'm just gonna do a Lewis Hamilton and bring this thing home. And then the caution kind of threw a wrench in that. But once I saw him move into P2, it was definitely game on, because he had the car to be able to run me down. And with the draft being so massive here, once you get in within that second range, you can just swallow someone up on the front stretch. So it was really just managing that gap and making sure that he was staying more than a second behind. And I just laid down some laps and just tried to hit my marks those last 3-4 laps and just do whatever I could. And they thankfully started battling behind me, and with Tim Huss there, and that was exactly what I would love to see as the laps are winding down, because I knew he was coming. He was going to bring a hard charge, and he wasn't going to give up. So I respect him for that. He's a respectable driver, and I'll go wheel to wheel with him any day. But this time, we came out on top, and we're able to manage that, and it feels good to finally start the season off with a victory.
$25 thanks to Aaron and Julie Chris at Louis P&R Italian Deli coming your way, along with the $25 Summit Racing Equipment gift certificate. That's going to go out to all the podium finishers, as well as a case of WD-40. But, Will, you're vying for the championship prize from A-Maxx Racing, which is that free 10 space in the 2021 Manufacturers Cup Series, and that comes with driver coaching, car transportation, chassis tuning assistant, and an additional $50 from the Bennett family. Is all that enticing you to perform the way in which you are? And is that make the fact that you're not only the winner, but now the unofficial points leader to kick things off in this very short 4-race stint in this championship series? Is that kind of fueling a little bit of that competitive fire and desire, or you just want to win no matter what?
Well, I mean, we're all racers here, and we all want to win no matter what. But that definitely stirs it even more. And seeing those great prizes, I can't thank the WKA enough for putting on such a great series, in the A-Maxx family, and everyone who's been able to sponsor this and donate to this event. It's really shown how much that the esports world has grown, and even in our karting series, how much that we can put on a show and get all these drivers from around the country to show up and have fun and go out there and run for some great prizes. And I'm certainly excited to be able to get a chance to run for some of those. I mean, that would be awesome to be able to go out under the tent for a manufacturers cup race. I haven't done a cup race in a very long time, so I'm dying to get out to one, and that would just sweeten the deal even more.
Well, I know the series would be more than happy to have you. However, the next item on the agenda that you're going to have to face in order to get a little bit closer to that is a new track, one that we did not run when we put this together back in the spring, the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course. What is your level of confidence going into that race, or are the next 6 days going to be filled with seeing your name on that track a lot of times in the sim in order to get ready for that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll certainly put in some laps. Practice a lot more than I did last season, and I think it kind of showed tonight, just being able to come out and do some practice laps and get a good base for what the car is going to be like. Mid-Ohio isn't my strongest course, so I've done a million and one laps around the place, and it always feels like you're not doing something right in some corner because it's so technical. But it's going to be really interesting in these cars with the the low downforce, the skinny tires, to see how they handle around that place, because there's a lot of undulations in the track, and there's a lot of corners that'll catch you off guard. So we'll see what we can do. And I'm not going to go out hoping, if we get a win, that would be great. But I'm going to give it all my best and see what happens.
Well, before we let you go and celebrate this win, I want to turn it over real quick to Marco Barbanera, who's been on the call with me tonight, and I think he shared the enjoyment as far as how the racing product was. And Marco, I know we've talked to Will in the past. This is probably under the most best of circumstances for him after grabbing this win. Anything you want to ask our winner and Will Salisbury?
Just if it's we have to talk about the championship because it's only 4 races. You won the first one, only 3 left. So I don't want to jinx you, but this, by maths, puts you in a very good position for the title in 3 weeks' time. I know I'm running a bit, but again, it's a very short season.
Yeah, absolutely. And that just makes all the more pressure to go out and not make mistakes. And that's the biggest thing in this car, is being consistent and not making mistakes, because it's very difficult to gain time. Aside from a track like Indy, where the draft is so big, generally in these cars, you can just hit an apex wrong and lose a couple tenths, and it takes a long time to recover. So being consistent, hitting your marks, and just being there when it counts is what's going to matter in these next 3 weeks. And being summertime, obviously, we don't have the as deep of a competitive field as we did the first season. But I know that Carmine's going to be up there, and we're going to have maybe some underdogs show up in the podium spots. So you can never be too prepared when it comes to these things. And certainly the championship is only 3 weeks away. We'll be figuring out who won it. So hopefully if all goes right, I'll be up on that top spot.
Thanks, Will. Eric, back to you.
Thanks, Marco. And Will, I think we're going to send you off and allow you to have a chance to enjoy this one. I know it's been a while since that agonizing photo finish, second place finish. You don't even have to look at that in the rearview mirror anymore, because you're going to be celebrating this one. And it could be the first of many. Even though it is a 4-race series, we kind of penciled you in as the favorite heading into this thing. And so far, you've been able to back that up with strong results here tonight. Congratulations, Will. It's been a long time coming for sure. I hope you can enjoy this one.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for putting this on, and hope we can do it again next week.
And that is Will Salisbury, your winner here tonight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course. And as you mentioned, Mid-Ohio, maybe not a strong suit, but he will have an opportunity to put in the work and get prepared. And we'll see what he, Carmine Caruso, and the rest of the field has in store And he mentioned there may be some more wild cards. There may be some drivers who were unable to make tonight's races, but will do their best to try to come out and put on a bit of a show in the latter stages. Remember, Jake Drew, who finished second in the championship standing, he missed the season opener during the first installment of Spring Series. So who knows what the rest of the season will have for us, but you could all watch how it continues to unfold here on Apex Racing. And as we mentioned, the next race will be August 5th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. For a full schedule and details and information, and for more information on the real-life on-track action with the World Karting Association, I want to invite everybody to visit worldkarting.com. Marco, I couldn't think of a better way to start off this next installment of the A-Maxx Racing Esports Series. It's been a blast.
It's been a fantastic race. I had tons of fun, and I cannot wait for Mid-Ohio. It will play perfect for these cars. Draft will not play as huge as a part as it did here in Indianapolis, and maybe a couple more, as you were saying, entries here and there will make it even better, but this is a fantastic start.
Well, we cannot thank you all enough. As a matter of fact, this gives us time to thank everybody from the top of the WK, Kevin Williams, along with Megan Olds, who did a lot to put these series together. All of our sponsors from A-Maxx Racing, Summit Racing Equipment, our award sponsors that include that of Louis P&R Italian Deli, along with RevBranding.com, who threw up a number of prize packages for the season, and especially that $50 that Jace Petty's taking home tonight. We also have the Olds family and the Bennett family, who individually stepped up and provided a lot of prizes and opportunities as well. We cannot do it without them. And of course, all of you at ApexRacing.tv for helping us and helping me even all the way up to the final tick of the hour to get this thing off the ground. Thank you for that so much, Marco. We really appreciate it. And we'll be excited to see you all here next week. So on behalf of Marco Barbanera, I'm Eric Brennan, and we'll see you all next Wednesday night, August 5th at 8 p.m. from Mid-Ohio as we continue on with the A-Maxx Racing Esports Series presented by Summit Racing Equipment. Good night, everybody.